Okay. Hi, Dr. Billy Nick. Love your work that you do. I've listened to most of your episodes, and my wife and I find they're starting to shape how we parent our two neurodivergent ginger ninjas, aged 5 and 4. Yes, both 12 months and 2 weeks apart. The past 4 episodes have really resonated with us both on the stage we are at on the journey through life in a world that wasn't designed for our beautiful brains. For me, Gladiator was an eye-opener. Billy, your comment around stripping it all down to encourage our children to be safe, loved and celebrated really hit home. That was a good one, Billy. I like that one. I grew up in a broken home and attended 21 schools from kinder to grade 7. My dad was in earth moving and we travelled from contract to contract and unfortunately was an alcoholic on occasions, abusive. He left when I was 8 years old. Stepdad number 2 often experienced bouts of what I would call roid rage, and as a young preteen was emotionally and physically abused to my mother and I after my older brother left home, leaving me, a boy of 14 years old, protecting our mother, my little brother, age 4, from the constant fights and arguments. My little brother was eventually diagnosed with Asperger's, that on reflection looked like level 1 ASD, but I'm no expert. My stepfather was regularly abusive, and I recall days where after I put myself in the middle of 2 arguing adults, I had to take a few days off school and stay with my English teacher until I recovered, all the while hoping my little brother was okay without me. I left home at 16 after stepdad 2 and soon to be stepdad 3 decided to turn my hallway into a UFC octagon to fight it out. I realised at that moment there was no one here to help me anymore. If anyone was going to make a change, it had to be me. Turning adversity into opportunity, I graduated university and later completed a master's degree. I married young, had 2 beautiful kids to my first wife, who are now 17 and 14, both neurotypical and highly intelligent and thriving in not-so-pleasant split homes, 50-50 care and less than favourable senior school environments. I met my second wife 10 years ago and we have an amazing relationship. My wife was a late 30-year-old ADHD diagnosis and we've had to navigate many challenges together as we adjust to the new ways of communicating and managing our relationship. Our firstborn together came in 2020 at the height of COVID. We had a number of challenges with birth. We were very close to losing our little boy soon after birth. Miraculously, he recovered and is now the most amazing, kind, gentle ginger ninja who is diagnosed with ADHD level 2. Our second came 12 months later, a gorgeous little red-headed girl who has global development delay and, in my mind, a clear candidate for ADHD. Life, it seems, on a daily basis is survival for our family. I was made redundant from my job 2 years ago, but have managed to build a successful small business that requires me to be away 60 hours a week. My wife, an incredibly strong and smart woman, has had to quit her job to support our 2 little ones. Therapy is 4 days a week for both kids, OT, speech, nutrition, GP appointments, paediatricians, ECPD, etc., etc. So grateful to have a partner that supports and advocates for our children in a way that she does. She's truly amazing. We have no family close by that can support us, so we typically fly solo as a family unit. My mother lives not too far away, but has recently abandoned our family after I politely asked her to give my 4-year-old a moment to settle at a recent birthday lunch when he was having a mini meltdown. That was met with a barrage of abuse, saying I need to teach him discipline, manners and respect when they're out in public. I let it slide due to our ignorance. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. But after a dozen or so text messages saying how it's my wife's fault, our little ones are the way they are, and how daycare has turned them into disobedient children, enough is enough. It's disappointing society has not yet fully grasped how to support people who are neurodivergent, let alone your own mother. To avoid going out in public in fear of outcome, every parent of neurodivergent kids knows this feeling, so I won't go into detail. I've ranted long enough already. Every day feels like a battle. Educators say they're fine at kinder, so it must be an us issue. Or my 4-year-old just learned poor behaviours from her brother, which has a huge psychological impact on my wife, who already struggles with her own internal mental health battles. We're so lucky to have support through NDIS. I'm grateful for our allied health team that is not always afforded to families. But right now, while in the thick of it, my wife and I are tired of holding the shield and wielding the sword to protect, nurture and advocate for our kids. I'm tired of not being emotionally available for my 17 and 14-year-olds who are passengers in this journey. So my question is, what advice do you have for two struggling parents who are fighting together, waiting for the next gladiator to enter the arena called life, a world not designed for our beautiful children? Thank you so much for everything you do for our community. In my dark times, you blokes are the light that keep pushing me forward towards the light. P.S. Billy, you'd be pleased to know when both of our cups are empty and the ninjas are bouncing off the walls in emotional dysregulation and it seems like nothing in the parenting kit bag is working, we'll look at each other and whisper, what would Billy do? You're both amazing. Thanks for taking the time to read this.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I often practically, but also psychologically in my mind, think, what would Nick do? Often I come to you and be like, what would you do? And you often give me the advice that I needed. So you're the person that's behind me. Far out. I got a bit emotional. I've read that so many times, but I got a bit emotional, and I'm making this whole episode about me, but God, I don't relate to that person as a kid and as an adult. Hectic. And I think that it is not your job to break cycles of generational trauma. It is not your job to stand there with your partner and wait for the next opponent that comes through, whether it's a funding problem, non-inclusive environment. Oh, it must be you guys because they're fine at school. And this is the thing. This is not about you changing. It's kind of the theme of the things. That's not the point. It's the point of those of us that have the capacity, understanding how to actually help others. That's what we all need to do. And I don't do this in clinic. Clinic is the most inefficient way to do this. Wait 3 years to meet the kid and then I get an appointment with them. And then if I'm lucky, I can see them again 2 to 3 months later. It is ridiculous that all of these amazing professionals that have this skill set need to come out of those spaces and help us get to these kids earlier. That is multi-generational trauma that kid has experienced, and now is his dad who is trying to break the cycle on his own. I can't break it on my own. I've done 14 and a half years of university in this space. I've been 20 plus years working with these kids. I train other specialists in this stuff. I cannot break it on my own, so you cannot break it on your own. Over 70% of kids have experienced one form of adverse childhood experience: abuse, neglect, household dysfunction. It is the biggest predictor of adult mental health. In Australia, 1 in 5 kids has experienced 3 or more of them. I'm one of that 20%, and so many people are out there. And if we don't figure out a better way to get to these kids earlier, and it's not their parents, those guys making the hallway the octagon, they were little kids that were not destined for that future. They sent up hundreds of flares, and we as a society did not come around them. And it's not a lack of resources. I can't say this professionally with my hat on, but I can with GGM. There is enough resource out there to get to all these kids. We just need to start prioritising it. We need to start taking the blame off parents that they need to parent better. They need to be more disciplined. They need to, be firmer with their kids. We need to come around and teach them how to do this stuff from actual expertise, not influencers that are just trying to make cash off them or people that are pretending they have credentials or making up research findings. It's really important that this gets prioritised. It'll change our world. That's how you break the cycle, not on your own. So, reach out and look for the people that will help you. The people this is why, the autism community is one of the strongest, and the deaf community. They're just amazing at fiercely looking after those people. They are units that are tougher than their individuals because of that. And we need to get better at reinforcing those and building other ones so that people can look around and see this is where help is, this is where help's coming. And taking away the shame of putting your hand up and saying, I need help. The amount of kids in the classroom that just can't put their hand up and say I need help because they're worried about the consequences of it. And if we pretend and have posters that say we're inclusive or we don't tolerate bullying or something, and then it happens and there's no repair, there's no healing process, that's worse. Take the posters down. Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry, I didn't realize I was going to soapbox. I think it's just because I just went back to my childhood listening to that question.
Yep.
But it's really important. It's not about that parent getting better, working harder, staying in the gladiatorial arena longer. It's about other people going in there with them.
This podcast is brought to you by Guiding Growing Minds, a social enterprise that aims to give all children the best opportunity to reach their potential and succeed in living rich and meaningful lives.